Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Cisco TV studio here at Cisco Live in Barcelona. We've just wrapped up the Enterprise Networks Advo chat, and we're now shifting gear to one of my favorite topics, because I used to work in this customer segment at Cisco for the last 4.5 years, and it's where I started at Cisco, grew up, so to speak, and that is SMB, or small business. Really looking forward to having a chat now. We've got two great panelists who are experts in this field. I've got Hema Marshall, who heads up small business for UKI at Cisco, and also joined by Richard Oliver, Senior Manager of IT, SDN and Cloud at British Telecom.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show, guys. So we're going to chat a lot about small business today, but I want to get straight into your questions, because we've got a lot to talk about, I think. We know that small business has been very big this week at Cisco Live. There's been a lot of buzz around the escape room, where we actually tried to get out of as well. We struggled a little bit with it. It was trickier than it looked. And you've been talking a lot about the Cisco Design portfolio, which I think is a new term for a lot of people. How is Cisco Design changing the game for Cisco in general, and also small business as a whole?
Yeah, so Cisco Design is our new brand for small business, and actually is a huge game changer. If you think about the world economy, 2/3 of the workforce actually are employed by small businesses. Their turnover in the private sector, I think, is something like 6 trillion. And so you have this energy around small businesses. But also, if you think about a keystone, they're the keystone for every economy. Right? So you've got small businesses. In the UK last year, they said that every hour, there were 5 new small businesses being born. So it is a huge underpinning of every economy and every organization. And I think this is a big game changer for Cisco, because we've gone from enterprise to much more around a holistic view of our customers, both small, medium, and large.
Yeah, awesome. Richard, you've got an interesting perspective, I think, on this, because you're a partner, and BT has such a broad sales base, I guess, across small business as well. IDC actually did a really good report called the Futurescape SMB 2019 Predictions Report, and that said that 2/3 of SMBs have digital transformation as a key part of their strategy by 2023, which is quite a surprising statistic, because you don't really think about small businesses transforming digitally per se. It's key, I think, for both us and partners to have an offering that specifically addresses the SMB market. But from the BT perspective, what are you seeing happening with the small business customers in the UK? Is this a trend you're seeing reflected there as well?
Sure, and firstly, thanks for the invite to come along and talk to you. So in BT, in our UK Enterprise division, we specifically focus on the small sector. And predominantly what we're doing is taking a lot of the learnings that we're seeing in larger organizations, a lot of the concepts that they're trying to drive, but really package that in a way that small customers who haven't got the direct skills themselves, they want to focus on what they do great. We really want to take all of that technology, package it specifically, working with Cisco, working with the way that you're simplifying your technology, and kind of bring that all together. So absolutely, our customers, they want to be able to drive the change that they see across the industry, but they clearly need partners and technology to be much more integrated, much more simpler for them, so they can do what they do best. So really focus on bringing all of that together with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the competition, especially amongst SMBs, is incredibly fierce. So anything that we can do to sort of help them along on that journey, I think, is fantastic. To both of you, either maybe best if you start the answer, and then you might be able to add some color as well, Hema. The same report also said that by 2021, 60% of SMBs worldwide will use alternative channels to procure or to get advice on some of their technology decisions, including various service providers. I'm sure BT is also one of them. What are the benefits to small business customers to working with a service provider such as a BT or similar ones in other countries?
I think the thing we're focusing on is that the customers, they focus on what they do best, and they want outcomes. So I think the role that we have got is to understand their outcomes and turn that into a solution and a service. So I think, as they look to technology, what they don't want to be is technologists in terms of IT. What they want is actually to turn to partners and providers who understand where they're trying to be, understand what they're trying to achieve, and be able to present that in a way that they say, right, great, I can see the outcome of technology. So I think that's our role broadly.
Yeah, and I think the various channels is really important. We have to start at what the customer wants and the heart of the customer, and we've got to give them choice. So partners and service providers provide something that is a solution to small business. They provide locality in a lot of occasions. They provide much more of a value add to those small businesses and small customers. And I think it is important to ensure that we provide that choice to our customers. We can't just get them down one route. So some customers want to buy online, some customers want to be part of the service provider package, some customers want to buy from local partners. So our channel and our routes to market is critical to the success of those businesses and Cisco.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the larger enterprise customers obviously have the benefit of maybe having a direct connection with Cisco. They can get advice, from a Cisco expert, but some of these small businesses may not have that ability to connect with Cisco directly. So having a great partner that can give them great advice on technology and how to use it to better their business. And I think Richard, you said it's really about giving managing the technology to an extent where the customer can just focus on doing what's best for them, focus on their own business, right?
Yeah, we know they're not experts, but they know where they want to go. They know what they want to be. What they don't want is to spend their energy building the technology that can provide that outcome. Our job as Cisco and BT, certainly when we're providing solutions, is to be where they are, as you say, whether that's digitally. We run local franchises, so we can be in the high street, we can be around the country with them, and really kind of create solutions that they can package and bundle. It's all about repeatable. They don't want the complexity. Our job is to take that away, package solutions that they can present to their business that drives that digital change.
Yeah, and I would also say that actually it is a direct relationship with Cisco because our channel and our routes to market are an extension of our Cisco world. And actually we couldn't go to market without them. So I would say that by working with service providers or local partners or e-coms, you are actually getting that connection with Cisco in a much more agile, quick, speedy way, and it isn't cumbersome. And then you get that choice on how you actually go to market.
Yeah, perfect. Now, I think the big white elephant question is that bizarre contraption that you guys have got sitting in front of you there. So I've been told you've brought a hook a duck game. So you've got some ducks in there with some interesting statistics. But I think there's probably a perception out there in the market that Cisco is very enterprise focused.
Yeah.
And I know we've been doing our best at this show and also, through other Cisco Lives and the content that we're sending out online as well, to change that perception. But I think there's still a lot of common myths floating around, right?
Yeah.
Around how Cisco works, what our products are like, and that sort of thing. Let's try and bust some of those myths, I guess.
Right, so
Okay.
there is an old saying in TV, never work with animals, children, and now plastic ducks, because this is going to be really interesting. But we thought it'd be a good idea to try this on the basis that what we're actually trying to do is we're trying to hook a market, right? So let me see if I can do this. If I can't, we're going to pick it up. Do you know what? I've practiced. Oh,
You've got it.
well done.
You've got it.
And I've gone the wrong way.
It's always a bit harder on live
So let's have a
TV,
look at the first one. So the first one is Cisco is too big. Do you know what? I think there is this perception that Cisco is too big. Actually, big is good. So if you think about it, for small businesses, they have a $50 billion safety net with Cisco. And there are some really interesting things that even I found out today. So every single Cisco device that is security and product actually has AI and machine learning built in it because it goes up to Talos and Talos delivers that intelligence back. That is a fantastic safety net for small customers. And actually, big also means that we can work with small customers to innovate and disrupt the market. And I think it's a co-relationship. And we've all heard the term co-creation. And I think that's what big and small and medium do together.
Great.
Right, Rich.
My turn. Okay, let me give it a go. Okay, left-handed here.
Are you normally left-handed, Richard?
No, I'm right-handed, but
Well, giving you an extra challenge.
Yeah, give me a challenge here, left-handed. No, I'm going to pick it up.
Right.
So the second one, complicated.
Complicated.
So if I kind of give a perspective from being a partner, so we work with many technologies, but we spent a lot of time working with Cisco and Meraki. So Meraki was a partner that we've been working with now for over 3 years as part of the Cisco acquisition. And what they really did as a partnership is that they enabled us to move away from integrating technology. Cisco and Meraki have really got that simplifying technology, bringing it together, focusing on the customer experience. And I think then when we bring that together with our organization and we look at how we're simplifying the network, our job starts with the customer. Our job is to simplify all of that. So I think what we've got going now between us is with what you're doing with Cisco and Meraki, which is creating a suite of solutions right across the small business sector. So they really can have a solution that's integrated, it works together, we can build it into our networks, both fixed and mobile. And so we've really kind of busted that complexity in my mind. And feedback from customers is great. We've seen huge growth in customers taking not just one product and then they have the job of bringing it together. They're saying, well, look, how do we start taking more of these products? So we're selling networks plus security plus LAN plus Wi-Fi. These things were really complicated for us and customers in the past. And I think we've done a great job at bringing that together. And I just see that growing and strengthening, and the customer feedback's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, Meraki especially is a great solution, I think, for a lot of SMB customers. If you didn't catch the Meraki session yesterday, there is an opportunity to stream those on CiscoLive.com, so our guests back home can have a look at the latest and greatest in Meraki as well. You guys have got one more duck, right?
We've got one more duck.
You're going to fish that one out as well?
And unfairly, that will be a 2-1 to me.
Yeah, I'm going to say this could be embarrassing when you go straight in and get the third one.
No. So,
You're not
so the third one is expensive. It's a really interesting conception here around expense. And actually, if you think about the Cisco designed portfolio that has been designed and created specifically for small businesses, we have a portfolio that actually expands all levels of dollar value, shall we say. Now, what's really interesting is that we can now, if it's $1,000 and above, we can now actually provide Cisco Capital. So the technology that you buy is being very similar to when you buy a sofa or a car. You can do it on 0% over 36 months. So I don't think it's expensive. And actually, if you think about the value that service providers add to that, in terms of that product and that value and the ability to be connected to broadband, have the network visibility, have security, and be able to collaborate with your customers, suddenly you have a solution that actually is probably much cheaper than most technologies.
Yeah, look, what I would add to that is that that is a classic myth, right? So when we talk to customers, expense is the one that you think you're going to see, and actually what they're looking for is how it drives value, right? So it's actually how you can present the solution with value, right? So we are taking Cisco technology, certainly, and we build it in so it's a monthly bill. It's how they can understand the way that they're consuming, the number of people they've got, the number of sites that they've got, the types of infrastructure that they're using. So actually expense, in my mind, means that you haven't really understood the problem that the customer's trying to solve, and you haven't been able to present the value of that back to them, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like the old analogy of buying one 300-pound pair of boots or buying 8 50-pound pairs of boots, right? I mean, it's about maybe there is a smaller investment, a larger investment, up front, but the value pays off, and the longevity and the benefits that you get a solution and the hidden costs that aren't there. Absolutely. You guys got any more ducks, or are we?
No, we're done with the ducks, I think.
We're all out of ducks.
We're a bit worried about them.
You've caught them all. That's fantastic. So, Richard, thank you so much for being on the show. I think we're going to transition to a different topic that's also incredibly, incredibly important for small businesses, which is the topic of cyber security. I think a lot of small businesses think that, it's one of these things that only affects the big guys, I'm not a target, that sort of thing. But it is definitely important. If you do want to learn more about small business, Meraki, or any of the other solutions that were mentioned today, please go to cisco.com/go/sales, and you'll be connected with an expert in your region that can talk to you about those topics. And him and I are now joined by a new guest, which is James Lee, our global commercial and small business security lead from Cisco. James, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, David. Excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here, because we have more ducks to catch, I believe.
I love this. So phishing is so topical in the security industry right now. This is genius.
Yeah, because we have that great term, don't we, called fish pond, which is exactly what you've got in front of you. And a fish pond is somewhere where you learn about security problems, and that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
Indeed, looking forward to it.
Perfectly on topic. Awesome. So, why don't you guys start trying to fish out these ducks, and we'll have a chat about what's
I noticed that my ducks are significantly smaller than the previous guest ducks. Is there any reason for that, or?
Yeah, we just thought we'd make it harder because security is quite
right.
complicated.
I'm gonna pull that. Do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna
pull
my duck out.
Yeah.
Because as a left-hander, it's a challenge. So 72%. Now this is a really interesting data point. So this is the percentage of small business customers that think they've been breached. And that is a staggering data point. But I worry about the 72% that have been breached, but I also worry about the 28% that don't think they've been breached, but probably have. We talk about two types of customers in Cisco: those that know they've been breached, and those that think they're secure, but probably have been breached.
Just haven't discovered the breach yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's challenging times for these customers, and I think. It's interesting. I was reflecting this morning on my working day and how that had transformed over the last 30 years. And I think that's a metaphor for how challenging it is for small companies to secure themselves. So when I started working back in 1993, my alarm used to be set at 7:30 in the morning. I'd get up, have breakfast, read the paper, get into the car, go to work, and turn on my computer. And the first time the security person in my company needed to worry about me was at 8:59 when I got into the office. What's the first thing that you do in the morning? Right?
Whip out your phone.
You get your phone out, right?
Yep.
And so immediately the security teams have got to create policy that secures you as a user wherever you are, whatever the time of the day you're accessing data, whatever application you're connecting to, whatever device you're on. And the device challenge itself is kind of crazy. We think there'll be somewhere between 20 and 30 billion devices connected to the internet this year. And simply that's between 20 and 30 billion different ways that the bad guys can hack into our customers.
Doesn't sound easy.
It's challenging. It's challenging.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand that 72% breach, that could wipe out small businesses.
Absolutely.
Right? In terms of cost, in terms of people, in terms of assets. So I think that breach is really important to think about how do we then help those customers secure, because you want to make sure that they're doing what they're doing best, and we're kind of at the back end trying to make sure and protect them.
Doing what we do best.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, I am going to try
Go
this.
for it.
Because
she was quite successful.
You're right-handed, you see. This has been designed for right-handed people.
Look at that.
Little hands
Absolute expert.
2017.
So 2017 I think what's interesting about the last 2 or 3 years, quite frankly, is that the challenges are getting more sophisticated. It's getting more difficult for our customers to deal with these threats. And we talked about 72% being the number of customers that have been attacked. I mean, quite frankly, the industry isn't doing a good enough job in protecting our customers right now. So we're at Cisco Live this week. In a couple of weeks' time, we have RSA, which is the world's biggest cybersecurity conference. There will be 600 vendors exhibiting at that conference. There are over 1,000 vendors in the cybersecurity industry. And the level of fragmentation in this industry is kind of crazy. And the reality is that you could deploy every single one of those vendors and you are still going to get breached. And again, if I think back to when I started working, and I was reflecting on the antivirus industry, which is an interesting kind of, again, metaphor for the complexity. There were probably 4 or 5 different antivirus vendors back in 1993. Now there are 50.
Wow.
And securing the endpoint, securing the laptop is still a really big priority for our small customers. When we think about securing the enterprise, we talk about application security and workload security and all these kind of big concepts. For small customers, it's simply, I need to secure my endpoint and my laptop. And how do I do that when there are such a huge number of endpoint vendors out there? We have to make things simpler for our customers, and that's something that we're putting a huge amount of focus on inside Cisco.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. We're moving on to the next duck then.
We are.
Provided you can hook it there.
Such a better job than
I'm going to be the hooker duck expert by the end of the day.
What have we got there?
James, this is an interesting one, 69%.
So this is from the Ponemon Institute report, right?
Right.
69% of respondents said that cyber attacks were becoming more targeted. What are the top 2 cyber attacks that were in the report, and how can Cisco technology help prevent these?
Yeah, I think so. So what do we see? We see that in most cases, when small customers are being breached, it's coming from a phishing email, right? And a phishing email, and phishing
got it in there.
and phishing emails are getting ever more sophisticated. So the concept of a phishing email is it's an email that's in some cases very sophisticated, very targeted, designed to get you to click on a link and share your credentials with a hacker who then uses those to log in, steal your identity, and do his nefarious stuff. And we now talk a lot in the industry about the bad guys are no longer hacking into our customers, they're logging into them using stolen credentials. And one of the interesting things about phishing emails is that technology alone can't solve those problems, right? I'm a big Arsenal fan, right? And I can guarantee the end of the transfer window is coming up on tomorrow, Friday. And I can guarantee if someone sent me an email saying Lionel Messi is about to sign for Arsenal, I'd be clicking on that link.
Right? You wouldn't even hesitate.
You wouldn't even hesitate.
I'm
in the industry. And so some of these emails are so sophisticated. So I think increasingly, and I have this conversation with customers, it's not just about technology. We need to do a better job in educating our customers on being a little bit more suspicious and a little bit more savvy on how they deal with some of these challenges. But at the same time, we can then give our customers fantastic technology that even if the bad guys do happen to steal our customers' credentials, and we hope they don't do that, technology like Duo, which is multi-factor authentication, means that even if someone logs into your account using your details, that Duo is going to push a message through to your phone to make sure that you authenticate whether that connection was indeed valid or not.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think, is there one more duck? How are we looking for ducks?
There is. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
How did you do that?
Was that pre-booked? Were you cheating?
We do need to apologise to the audience for James being an Arsenal fan, but when Liverpool,
Spurs fan.
I'm a Liverpool fan.
You make it our unbeaten record, I'll be gutted. So 16%, this is really top of mind. Only 16% of customers are seeing an improvement in the time it takes for them to detect a breach. And this is a very simple challenge, but one that's really top of mind. So picture this, right? So I'm on CNN. I see a news article, and it says the new HEMA virus has hit the wild, and customers globally are being hit by this. So I'm going to call you up, HEMA, and I'm going to say, HEMA, I've just read about the HEMA virus on CNN. Have you been hit by it? Are you safe? And the answer is, you don't know.
But why is it so difficult for them to detect these breaches?
Because I talked about the complexity of the products earlier. Right? There are so many products. We have email security products, we have firewalls, we have endpoint security solutions, and there just aren't the platforms in the industry that are aggregating these technologies together to allow customers to understand whether they've been breached. We have a beautiful product in Cisco called CTR, Cisco Threat Response, and it takes feeds from all our products. Brilliant. And it allows customers very simply to go online and find what we call indicators of compromises, which are file hashes, post them into a browser, hit search, and it will tell you where is our advanced malware protection technology seen that breach, where is our email security technology seen that breach, where have our proxies seen that breach, bringing it together in a central console. And that's a very simple concept, but one that the industry historically has done a pretty lousy job in dealing with. So we're pretty excited about bringing CTR into the market, which is happening right now, and it's something that absolutely scales all the way down into some of our smaller customers. And that's relevant because we have a big talent gap in the industry, so that there are about 2 million vacancies globally in cybersecurity. So if we can give our customers simpler tools to understand when they've been breached, we're going to address some of those talent gaps that cause the market so many challenges right now.
Yeah, and it's got more sophisticated, right? Breaches, hackers have got more sophisticated, and I think that's what I mentioned earlier in the earlier segment, is around AI and machine learning and our Talos portfolio. But for small businesses, we have everything from two-factor authentication to Umbrella and Duo to AMP in case somebody comes in and plugs in a USB. So we've got that portfolio end to end. It does get more sophisticated, and as things get more sophisticated from a hacker's point of view, we get more sophisticated with our AI and machine learning to ensure that we try and stop those breaches.
Absolutely, and that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for both of your time. If you do want to learn more about this, we've had a lot of great sessions here at Cisco Live on security. You've heard it here, the bad guys are getting better at being bad, but Cisco is catching up and delivering some great solutions for all sizes of businesses. We're now heading over to the App Dynamics Innovation Talk with Danny Winokur. Stick with us.